Hi, how you doing? My name's AJ. Thank you for tuning in to my YouTube page today. It's something I want to talk about that's very close to heart. I want to make it very clear that I'm not pro-Palestine or pro-Israel or pro-anybody. I'm pro-human rights, and when I see innocent people suffering around the world, it's very important to me that we we ensure that this type of atrocities don't continue. I've managed to pin down Nalan, who's a social media activist and blogger based in Gaza. She's kindly, we've been speaking over Twitter, she's kindly agreed to join the YouTube broadcast today and give us a clear insight into what's happening over there. There's people protesting all over the world. I saw thousands and thousands of people in London today protesting. This is kind of our way to get a message. Something that I use social media heavily. I don't know if you know, but I've got lots of followers across my social networks, and I use social media heavily to put my messages out there. And so, what better platform than to use Google Hangouts today to try and get this across? Nalan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We've managed to do this. You have lack of electricity at the moment, or blackouts over there.
Yes, since the ground invasion on Gaza Strip, in the city, we only have scheduled for 6 hours electricity. Some further areas like Khan Yunis, it's another city in Gaza Strip, a big area as well, been targeted multiple times in the last operation, which we're still going through, and lost a lot of their people over there. They only have 2 hours of electricity or 3 hours. The situation over here is going for worse. We also have a water shortage plus the electricity shortage. Since the ground invasion, airstrikes and battleships bombing and been on with non-stop, but more around the borders. So I live here in Gaza City, which usually a little bit safer. Although for the last 10 days, my area, which is Tel Hawa area, part of Gaza City, been targeted multiple times. The building next to mine has been targeted as well. There was injuries and fire and smoke everywhere. Children screaming. We'll never forget that. And since the ground invasion, I can see from my balcony where I live. I live on the 6th floor, so I see a lot of Gaza City. I've seen yellow and red colors, explosions all the time. I can go through 15 minutes with more than 20 explosions.
Wow.
And just to remind the people that, and to remind myself all the time that maybe I get scared of the explosion, maybe I get scared of how much it's loud and how much could I be close to that. But in that one explosion, a family been killed or a house been destroyed. So this message that people need to understand and to need to know and hear out very clearly that every explosion there is someone dying, and mostly children. Till now we have more than 300 martyrs, we have more than 2,400 injuries, and they're mostly children and women. So this war is basically against civilians. It's basically against dreams. It's basically against Gazans who are fighting to have a better life than the life that we still live and still living through, which is more than 6 years and occupation more than 60 years.
Nalan, tell me your story for the people that don't know. I mean, go as far back as you can and take your time. We're not in any rush. Let people know, your experiences over there.
My experiences, I lived 2 Israeli operations in Gaza Strip, and I'm living through the 3rd, which is basically so painful, and it's not easy to get over. And every time there's an explosion, there's a panic situation that we go through daily in every couple of minutes. I just think that is this going to be over? And if yes, then how we would ever get over it emotionally, psychologically. Um, and 2 days ago there was a couple of hours truce. Of course, the whole world knew about it. But what I did, beside helping my mother, to get some groceries because there was pressure through the last 10 days. Nobody could get out of their homes unless you're evacuating or you're running from an explosion. Um, I went to the hospital, the local hospital here in Gaza, which is Al Shifa Hospital. I went there to, support the injured and support the families and see how can I help in any way. And I also talked to some doctors to see how the situation over there. They say mostly civilians, the injured and the martyrs. They say Israel is using massive and some say it's illegal weapons. They say that it's a lot of pressure in the medical system over there. They need new tools, they need medical supplies, they need even human support to see that they're doing their best. Even there is volunteers from the medicine schools, but yet if this is not stopping, then what's the point? I also want to appreciate all the world's support, but we need Israel to stop doing this because treating and trying to heal the wound after it's done is not easy. But stopping this body being hurt, this is the main point.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm original Gazan. I wasn't born here. I was born in Tunisia. I came over here with my family in 1994. But I've lived here all my life. I know most of the families over here. And I want to tell something about how beautiful Gaza is, even under the most human situations. People over here are hosting people and families that don't know. Just after evacuations or explosions or their homes been destroyed, they open their homes just to support their brothers and sisters. Beside that, and now we're Ramadan, right? So basically, all people mostly over here they're fasting, and we only have two main meals, which is suhoor and iftar. And iftar it's when the sunset and when you're fasting. And a lot of people over here don't have food. They don't have homes. They don't have an access to a good location situation. A lot of families as well are supporting them, and they go to the hospitals and provide some food for the families over there, and go to the UN schools where most of the families go and live over there after the evacuation, and they support them and give them food and medical supplies if possible. And this is how much the world should see humanity in Gaza. All the situations, even how much we're angry all the time of what's happening to us, and how the world is not stopping Israel. We need them to see that we are living under unhuman conditions, but we're still humans, and we find humanity inside of us. Um, um, when and there's
So,
yeah.
no, go ahead, go ahead. I have lots and lots and lots of questions.
Yeah. I want to talk about the ground invasion furthermore. Since the ground invasion, a lot of families evacuated from their homes in north and east of Gaza. A lot of people, just in one night, we had more than 30 injuries and martyrs. But yet, Palestinians and Gazans are still supporting the resistance. The ground invasion was a huge sign for us that Israel would go anywhere just to push us back to the life that we used to have, which is basically
Yeah.
unnormal. The life that
Yeah.
we had is basically we only had 8 hours of electricity, and of course electricity controls the water. The fishermen could only fish for 3 kilometers in our own beaches and seas, which is, well, I'm not talking 3 miles, I'm talking 3 kilometers. We only have two gates to connect us with the outside world, which is also not under our authorities. Um, uh, Israel could airstrike us in any moment, whenever they feel to, and people could die. So we're not only under Israel terror and airstrikes and bombing only when they declare an operation. No, it's a daily basis life here. And this is what Israel is trying to push us back to, and this is what we're trying to push ourselves out of. And that's why we're still supporting the resistance, and we will till the last breath of ours, because we don't want to live under the blockade anymore. It's we have a phrase over here that people outside say, the sky is the limit, when we say Israel is the limit, and we're trying to break this. We're trying to tell the world, and we're trying to tell Israel in specific, that we're not going back to there. We're not going to live under the blockade and under their mercy anymore. And if it needs for us to support our brothers and sisters and who's resisting in multiple ways, if we need to live in only 1 hour electricity a day, it doesn't matter. We're going there until we're free. We're going there until we have the conditions that we need to live under, and we want the world to agree on them. We're not going back to blockade, and this is the most painful part for us, because we need to sacrifice a lot, but we know at the end we're reaching something better, and this is what we want. And I want to clarify this for the world, because people over here are not supporting Hamas in particular. We're supporting their resistance, no matter what party they belong to. We still blame the authorities for what's happening, of course, because if there were more strings in the authority, all of this wouldn't happen. But even though, because we know what Israel is, and we know that we're living under occupation for more than 60 years, and we know they would find a way or another to torture us, because they are the occupation. They're not just a country to us, they are an occupation. We're going back to our homelands and hometowns one day. So we are supporting the resistance, and we are resisting in many ways. It's through social media, through a blog, an article, through a song, through a painting, through a rocket, through a stone. This is all the ways that the Palestinians know, and we're resisting since forever. It's not something new. So don't, talk about the rockets or talk about the resistance as something, a new phrase that just the Muslim Brotherhood or invented. No, it's basically something that Palestinians invented. It's something that how we live. This is our theme in life. We resist the terror with Israelis' occupations and operation on Gaza and on Palestine. We're they force us to live through and force our
Yeah.
children to go through, and this is basically the message we want the world to understand. This is the huge sign that we're sending to the world through our resistance.
And I've noticed from various different countries that many, Jewish people have stood up and said that this is not something they support. This is clearly a political issue and not a religious, not necessarily a religious issue, or let me rephrase, not a Jew-Muslim issue. Are you in I mean, you're on the ground there. Are you in agreement to that?
Of course, of course. It's not
Yeah.
about a religion or another. It's about humanity. They're killing the humanity here. They're killing children. They're killing. Why evacuate my home just because Israel wants me to? I mean,
I understand.
Like, just think about it. Your family been working all these years to build this home for you. Why would you evacuate it just because they think that they can destroy your home just in 1 second? All your memories, all your years in life in this home, and you just need to evacuate just because Israel wants you to.
Yeah.
Another point of view.
Understand.
Why? How could you understand that? A, a father who's holding his own son in pieces in his own arms, a 3-year-old son is dead in his own arms, and then you would tell them this is an action of defense. How would he ever forgive or forget this? This is what
Yeah.
this is what the world needs to understand. It's not about religion at all. It's about what Israel
Yeah.
has been doing for all these years. And for
Yeah.
once, the media is covering it very well. That they've been, they're very shocked of what's happening right now, and they're trying to, be so smart as always to no, we want peace. No, but they don't want peace. If they want peace, they wouldn't even start all of this. They wouldn't
Yeah.
torture all these Palestinians. They won't put the Palestinians back to jail in their prisons. They won't build more settlements. They won't strike us from now or then if they want peace. And what we're
Yeah.
doing as Palestinians, we're resisting. So this is what's happening. This is not there's a lot of resisting parties, not only Hamas or Muslim Brotherhood that they're doing that. There are also other parties as well. Us are resisting in many ways. Only
Can I
rockets
um,
yes.
can I ask? Many people are saying that there are Hamas is using people to act as shields for weapon storage and shields to hide missile launchers and shields to hide the resistance. Yeah, I mean,
The
from the
human
pictures I've
shield,
seen,
the human shield story. This
pictures
is
I've
not
seen,
true.
pictures I've seen of children passing and the parents' reactions and the family reactions is quite clear in the pictures that they're not cheering that their child was a martyr or died in the name of X, Y, and Z. It's pretty clear that they're heavily distressed by it. Could you please elaborate on this, because this is something that people are constantly tweeting me and constantly coming back with, because that's the
Okay.
message Israel is putting out.
Okay. First of all, we need to clear something, and we need to remind the world something, that Hamas been elected illegally in Gaza Strip. This is one. So basically, if you got elected, so the majority is supporting you, right? So
Yeah.
whatever is Israel saying, that they're targeting places for Hamas people or Hamas militants. This is not. It doesn't make any sense, because the majority over here is supporting Hamas. So if you're talking about targeting anyone who has relations with Hamas, so you're basically targeting mostly everyone. So you go back to the reality here. You're not talking about a mass. You're talking about an actual community and society that elected a party, and they have their own rights as human beings, and they follow the democracy that you, Israel, are using. So if you want to target these people, you're basically targeting civilians. So there's no
Yeah.
excuse for them to do that. The second
Yeah.
thing, Hamas, as I said multiple times before, they're not only a resistant party over here. All the political and militant parties over here, which we need to also clarify that we don't have an army. We as Palestinians, we don't have an army that Israel is having all these conflicts with. So as a nature, as default, by default, we need someone who would, push that war and fire from Israel back. So we go back that this is, by default, we have resistance. So Hamas is not using human shield, the Palestinians over here. And if so, people over here won't be supporting Hamas or supporting the resistance in particular till now. Uh, we could have been like pushing them and putting pressure on the authorities and putting pressure on them to, accept the peace agreement, the recent one, and the case fire that they had, and all of this talk. But we don't want that. We want an actual life, a normal life. We deserve that as a human beings. What's happening over here is it's unhuman. And Israel is trying to push us back by all of this talk about Hamas using us as a human shield. Hamas is, building the rockets between buildings. Hamas is using homes, Palestinian homes in Gazans, for their offices and their militants to sleep in, to work in. This is all just nonsense talk, because you're talking about Gaza, which is more than almost 2 million human beings. And just for example, the building that they had, the next to mine, they live in a very crowded area. So most of the glass in the building, my building, was destroyed. A lot of the stores from the other building hit our building. So they are targeting civilian places. They are targeting places where a lot of people live. They are the ones who are putting us under threat, putting us under a lot of dangerous situations. And as I told you, just in 15 minutes, you could hear more than 20 explosions. And every explosion, they're targeting a home, they're targeting a family, they're killing someone, they're killing a family, not only one person. So they are terrorists. I'm not supporting Hamas. I'm not someone who I have a lot of different perspectives than Hamas. I support their resistance. I support my brothers and sisters who are fighting for me to live. So why would I not support them back? Why would I not help them to reach to a better life that we're all fighting for?
I understand. And a little bit about your story. I mean, I understand. You lost your father. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to touch on that and tell people, your life experiences in living in Gaza, so people, get a clear understanding? Is one thing that crosses my mind, and it brings a lot of sadness, is that there's children out there that are, it's funny, in the Western world, if a child is subject to any form of oppression or any form of abuse or any form of some sort of trauma, then the child will go through a counselling program, and they'll be put through various different a program where they are brought back into almost brought back into society, so they say. But if there's any personality issues, or if there's any, there's kids out there suffering trauma all the time. My camera went off there, so it put me off for a second, but I assume it will come back in a minute. There's children out there suffering trauma all the time. So, from discussions that I've had with friends over here, it's not just something that is going to last now. It's something that is going to go on for many years to come, even if in the minds of the children that are out there. And I'm sure that they're also going to feel, if something happened to my family, or someone did something to my family, I don't actually know how I would react or how I'd retaliate, but it would be very difficult for me just to let it be and leave it go. And while this is all going on and people are losing family members, how do you think this is going to be going forward? And tell us some of the stories you've seen firsthand.
I hope that we have these kind of, institutes that would help children in Gaza to, go through that easily. There was a program over here that helps the Gazan children after the 2008-2009 operation. But still, it's not like having a whole society supporting you, and understanding all the situation. But the thing over here that everyone is under this situation, the oldest and the children, but most of the children, because they're the new generation that would have a lot of anger and hate in their hearts. Um,
This is
what I've saw, like I would tell you what I've saw in the hospital 2 days ago. The four children that been killed on the beach just because they were playing. They also had some of their friends with them. I saw one of their friends in the hospital. Uh, his face I would never forget. It's like he grew up 20 years and he's only 8 or 9, and just how I think of his future, and how painful it will be for him to just get over that. Where it's pain, there's no easy getting over a solution, especially if you have no control of the situation that you're living through. I'll tell you my own experience. My father was killed by the Israelis, but the blockade affected on in the situation that we all lived through, and which led to his death. That's why I hate the blockade so much, and that's why I don't accept the occupation at all. And I don't understand how an occupation would talk about peace when they've been forcing us to live under non-peace lives for all of these years. My father was very sick, and that was in 2008. His case got worse, and we need to get him out of here, to have a better medical care, especially because Gaza been going through a lot. That time, the blockade was and the siege was very rough and tough, and a lot of medical supplies and equipments were getting in or out. Um, so I saw we couldn't get him out. Uh, I saw my father dying in front of my eyes for 3 months. Um, and then when we did, it was too late. And this is something that I want the world to understand, that I hate when I talk about it and people feel sorry for me, because I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I just want you to feel what any human being would feel, how much painful it is, and how much can we do to stop this happening for other people over here, and how can we do more to stop Israel from putting our children through that kind of feeling, because you will never get over it. How much I try, to act strong and um, to help other people, but it all comes from my own pain. And just to feel that maybe if there was no occupation, maybe if there was no blockade, my father would be just next to me right now talking to you guys, and maybe talking about other topics like art and peace and music, instead of talking about people dying and my people dying, and about the Israeli terror in Gaza. Um, so
how do you think where do you think the solution? I mean, there's so let's talk about the recent peace talks that were, I mean, if you read the tweets coming from Israel, the notion is that they've offered peace talks, and Hamas declined the peace talks, and also there's talks of the three explosions that went during the truce, which which is the reason for them to use ground force attacks now. Um, where do you see the final solution?
the final solution is for Israel to accept that we're not going to accept their conditions. That's number one. And number two is that they have to stop lying to the world and stop lying to us, because our generation especially is not at all convinced by their nonsense talk. Politics, we
Yeah.
all know that politics is basically lies. It's about, fixing all the things that you can. You can bring people, cold bodies back to life. You can't build a new future for children who are dead already. And you can't bring peace to a place where nobody knew what peace is, because of these people who are talking about peace. So the deadline here is to accept our conditions. We want an airport. We want our own gate to the world. We want for the fishermen to sail more than 3 kilometers. We want never airstrike again and come to our sky whenever they want to. We want to say that the sky is the limit and just really mean it. We want no blockade. We want no more stories like mine. We want no more operations. This is not the first operation in Gaza Strip. This is the third. Every 2 years, there's another operation with worse numbers of people dying, with worse situations that we go through. We need this to not become a tradition for Israel whenever they feel to. We need them to understand that the resistance will continue doing what they can, because this is how we believe that for Israel to understand all what I just said and to understand that we will till we have our freedom. If they understand that and they want to have uh, the peace agreement based on our conditions, then fine, why not? But if they want to push us back to the horrible situation that we used to live in, and push us back to the blockade, and push us back to them controlling our lives, push us back to that white prison on Gaza Strip, then no. I'd rather die than
It's
live that all over again.
it's from what I'm hearing, it's like an open prison. You're completely under somebody else's rule.
Exactly.
You have no way of getting out. You have no way of getting out of the country, and I mean the food and the resources that come into the country. I'm assuming all the pricing and the quantity and everything is controlled.
By them. Yes.
Right. Okay. I understand. So all you guys are asking for is basic human rights, which is freedom and independence within the small part of the country you have left.
Excuse me?
I said you're not asking for a lot. You're asking for freedom and independence within the small plot of land you have left.
Exactly. And I don't think what we're asking for is too much for us. Uh,
Yeah.
this is basic human being needs. We're not talking about much. Uh, People over here are very creative, are very inspiring. Even under the bombing, they could find something to laugh at, finding something to laugh together at, and I believe in the beautiful soul in Gaza and the Gazans especially. I believe the awareness that we have as a new generation. I believe in resistance. I believe in our methods of resistance as well. Um, and if Israel can understand that, this is their own problem. We'll keep fighting, and they need.
Okay. It looks like we've lost Nalan slightly. I'm hoping she's going to be back shortly. Um, there's only two things that would have caused her to disconnect. One is lack of phone network, and the second is lack of electricity, something that they've been suffering on a regular basis. Um, she has just disconnected from the video. I just want to thank her for her time. If you don't see her come back, um, she's back. Hi.
Hi, I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem. So you were saying, well, we're glad to see you back. Welcome back. I thought that's
Thank you.
um, go ahead.
So
Saying
yes,
just
we'll do our best to gain our freedom back. We're not accepting the blockade and the occupation anymore. We never did, but
yeah.
I guess we're feeling stronger now. We feel that the pressure and the patient is too much, and we believe we're powerful enough to fight back the terror.
Israel's perspective is that they are, and with the backing of many superpowers in the world, they're of the notion that, and of the opinion that we're not going to put up with missiles constantly attacking our country. We are. The reason why we're doing this is because Hamas has been constantly attacking the Israeli people. What is your opinion on that? Just on that really isolated comment or that isolated reason? I know you've been explaining each thing, but I'm trying to target each individual opinion of, and I'm going off memory, to be honest. Lots of people have been tweeting me things, and I'd like to
Yes,
try and
I've got these tweets as well.
yeah,
Whenever we talk about situation over here, they talk about that Israel is doing what they have to do. Israel is fighting back for their people. Hamas is needs to stop what they're doing. And what I always say, and what I will keep saying, that if you give if you let Israel pass with killing all these people, just because they're defending their people, why can't you let the resistance pass by defending all of these people who died over here? How does it make sense for Israel to kill all of these people just because they're defending their own? And when we talk about our death and our pain, and we need them to stop doing that to us, it's not right. What we're doing, we need to, before I talk a little bit more about the resistance again, I need to clarify something, that Israel to us will always be an occupation. And what we're doing is nothing compared to what they do, that with what we've been going through all these years, and what they did to us all these years, and what they keep doing to us is killing our children, and killing our women, and killing us, and destroying our homes. And this is not related to them defending themselves. They have the strongest army. They've been occupying us for more than 60 years. They've been building settlements. They've been putting us in prisons for no reason. They've controlling our lives in multiple ways. And when you talk about us resisting all of that, how it doesn't make any sense. Um, uh, I'm talking human to human here. I'm not only talking as a Palestinian. If I see this happening to other people, I will try my best to stop them, because this is not how humans should be treated. Um, Whatever Israel is giving itself excuses, um, to me it's lies, because I live here in Gaza. I know how it means to be under the occupation, how much it means to hear explosions near and far, how much it means to lose someone that you love because of these people, and also how much it means to fight for your own cause. We're fighting here for our own cause as Palestinians, and we're fighting here for our freedom, and for the hometowns that we had to leave because of the occupation. And Hamas, what they're doing, and I want to clarify something, that the resistance is not only Hamas, there's also other parties included. So when I talk about Hamas, it's because the people is trying to put all of that on Hamas. I want to clarify something after the division. The recent thing that happened in politics, that Hamas and Fatah and the PLO and PA, they all agreed in a lot of things recently before all this operation happened, and all the world knew about it. Um, So and after that, Hamas been a little bit backing down, or backing, or pushing themselves a little bit away from controlling everything over here, because they want the United States to have. And I think one of the reasons that Israel is doing all of this, because they want to push Hamas all over again into the image of being the terrorists. So they have a reason to bomb and attack Gaza whenever they want, and also have a reason to tell the world that we are the weak part here when they are the strongest part here. They have the strongest army and they are the occupation, and still yet people support them. Why? Because they're using Hamas as a card in politics, as a terrorist Muslim party, and they need to protect themselves and their people from it. When actually Hamas is not doing much as a government recently, an authority recently, and who's fighting for us right now is resistance, which is not only Hamas, it's also other parties in Palestine. And I believe who's doing that is my brothers and sisters, because they're fighting for me to live. And as much as you're trying to support um, Israel for fighting for their own people and defending their own people, I will fight my best and do my best to support these people to fight for me as a Palestinian and a human being in Gaza, and to fight for who are dying, and the families who are losing their homes right now because of Israel. And when you talk about the whole situation over here, you're talking about um, Israel and the resistance. They're still not equal, because these have army, those don't. Um, and you're talking about uh, a country, uh, which is Israel, unfortunately, that has all the supplies and all the means from all over the world to supply them, to have all of the methods and all the equipment to uh, have a good army, the best army in the world, and to win any war they want to start. And when we have a few who support us in few means and in weak ways, so we're basically fighting by ourselves against the strongest army in the world. So there is no equality over here. In a way, also, when you want to look at the images a little bit from further, you look how much people are dying in Palestine and Gaza, and how much um, few injuries or few deaths in the Israelis. And when you look here, where is death, there is pain, and where is pain, there is anger, and where is anger, there is no way you could just go back to whatever Israel wants us to go back to. You just want to fight until the last breath of yours to gain your freedom and to stop these people from killing us.
What are the current statistics of deaths and injuries? Do you know?
Yeah, it's just I just told you they're over here. We have more than 300 martyrs. We have more than 2,400 injuries, and they're mostly children and women.
Yeah.
And we also have more than 50% of the water supplies are destroyed. The current situation for the electricity is basically not more than 6 hours for Gaza City, and less than 3 hours for other areas like Khan Yunis and Rafah and other like south and north cities. And some areas they don't have electricity at all. The
Wow.
ground invasion is still there. They're invading a lot of cities and areas right now. A lot of people who evacuated their homes in north and south and east of Gaza Strip, and they live in the UN schools, sleeping on ground. And just to mention something, the UN schools are not safe as well, because they've been targeted before by Israel in previous operations in Gaza Strip, so they're not even safe there.
So, do you know the statistics on the other side, on the Israeli side?
I just heard today that there was two deaths in the Israeli side and some injuries. and this is like a total result for the whole operation. So when you compare them, I mean, someone who's the
So we're
terrorist
looking
over
at
here.
two or three max is what we're talking about, yeah? Is there anything you want to talk about while we have this opportunity? There are some other questions I have, but we had a small discussion before we started this broadcast, and I said to you it's very important for me to give you the platform to speak as much as you can on the subject.
I just
Are
want
there any?
I just
Yeah,
want people to, whenever they think about what's happening over here and what happened before and what will happen for us Palestinians and Gazans and also West Bank, I want them to look at it as a human being perspective. Um, Away from religion, away from politics, just a human being perspective. Look how much people are dying over here. Look how much children um, are dying and injured, and how ugly it is for them to have a future like this, and how much of dreams are being destroyed, and how much homes are being destroyed, and how much painful it is to go through all of that. Look at it in a human perspective, and I think when you do, you would know who to stand for, and you would know who you want to stop from proceeding what's happening over here, and you would know who to blame. Um, and uh, I want to clear something as well. That
yeah,
I want to repeat it as well. That every explosion and every attack, there is a home is destroyed. There is someone who's killed, or a whole family is killed. There is someone who's injured. There is someone who lost a dream, who lost a future. So please help us stop Israel. Help us from going through all of this, and support us as human beings. We're not looking for more. Thank you.
how do you think the Western world can help you? From your perspective, I know that there's marches, there's people are going to their local embassies, people are trying to do as much as possible. Everybody has a different way of trying to help. For instance, this is one of my ways. How do you feel the best way for the Western world is to help the people of Palestine?
Yeah. I think the protests and the demonstrations are very effective. The main point of them is to put a lot of pressure on the governments. Know that at the end, politics it's what would control what's happening over here from the outside of Gaza. Um, so I believe in when all these countries say stop what you're doing. You're killing children, you're homes, you're targeting civilians. You don't have the right to do that. I think then Israel would understand that the world is awake. They're not
Yeah,
following their lies anymore, and that they can't do this to us anymore. And I think then we could talk about peace. Um, so basically, yeah, I mean, doing your best to put pressure on the governments, to, talk about the situation over here, let the world know, spread the awareness about the situation over here, um, and how much
see, we live.
inhuman, yeah,
No, go on.
and how much
I was
inhuman,
just going to I was just saying that we live in a different world from the last two times that this has happened. We have a huge social media networks and various ways of getting the message across, and I think that this time around people are listening. I mean, in 2009, I remember this happening, and I was trying to get the word out as much as possible, but unfortunately, in that era, it was very different. Whereas now, like this is happening, for instance, I'm speaking to you live to the world. We couldn't, although we could do it in 2009. Lots of things weren't possible. It wasn't possible for us to just have an X
Yes.
amount of following and let the world know. So hopefully, social media, I think, is playing a very large part in this, and trying to put more and more and more pressure onto the powers that be. You can have a million people tweet a government Twitter account in an hour, and to get a million people down on the streets will be very difficult. And so, I'm hoping that social media and everything has a good
Yes.
effect. The problems that I see are from the videos that I've seen online, and from the reaction of Israel that I've seen online, is no matter what, they will not stop. I've seen some very quick interviews, and the sad thing is that, from what I get, is that the Israel have a lot of international support. Otherwise, I mean, if this happened, what I find shocking is if this happened in the Western world, and two, three citizens, five citizens were killed, there would be a huge uproar immediately, and everybody would get involved. All the authorities would get involved straight away. And for this to carry on to this level is beyond shocking. In the world we live in today, 2014, this just proves that, I don't know. I think this proves that maybe we're living under a facade. Maybe humans don't have as much freedom and rights as we think they do. This shouldn't happen anywhere in the world, and I'm surprised that the governments aren't immediately intervening. I see tweets here and there, we'll put a phone call in, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're trying to encourage peace talks, we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that. But I don't see any real hearty action. And I think the superpowers of the world could potentially help. But again, there's a lot of talks on social networks where the superpowers are actually backing Israel, and the superpowers are
No,
encouraging Israel to.
I don't want to interrupt you, but
No, go ahead.
I believe that uh, the right will win. Um, the one with the, the one who has the right, um, um, or the correct position will win one day. So when you have this faith, um, if I would just look at it the way that you're looking at it, I would give up long time ago, because we've been through this more than 60 years. We've been
Yeah,
under the blockade more than 60 years as well. So you don't let this feeling into your heart, because when you do, you're wrong, because when you're right, when you know that you're correct, what you're fighting for is right, you don't give up. That's how our fathers and grandfathers and ancestors taught us. Uh, Palestine is in your heart. It will never die, and you will give it to your the generation next to you as well. And this and I think because the world is watching more, and the world is trying to know more what's happening, because if we gave up long time ago, nobody would care. They gave up on their cause. Why would we fight for it?
yeah,
And I think because they know that we're fighting for it so hard this time, understand that we'll never give up, no matter what, how much it will take. We'll never give up. We believe in our freedom. We believe in our land and our rights as human beings. We will fight for it until the last minute of our lives. And you're saying that Israel is having a lot of international support, and that's what we're trying to gain as well. We know that international support is a huge key in this whole game that Israel is trying to play. And I think step by step, even if it's baby steps, we will reach there. People at the end, they're human beings. No matter how much Israel is trying to brainwash them or do their propaganda, I believe in the right and the the um, the Palestinian point of view, and the Palestinian message will reach there.
Yeah.
And as you just said, there's a lot of protesting demonstrations all over the world, and this will lead to something bigger, and that bigger thing will lead to something bigger until the world would stand next to us, because um, at the end we're all human beings, and we'll all fight at the end for having the human rights. We're not only talking about um, religion, we're not talking about politics at all, we're talking about humans, and we're talking about children, and we're talking about dreams, and I don't think anyone would separate themselves away from that. Maybe it takes a little more longer time, but we will reach there. We have this faith. We're fighting for a cause that will never die.
Could,
Because we're talking about Palestine, it's the love of our lives.
yeah,
You would never give up on the love of your life, right?
of course, of course. No, I wouldn't. Um, you know, I, me speaking to you, I have to remain, impartial, and that's why I ask questions back and forth about both sides. So I have to ask it in a certain way. Going forward with the ground, the ground invasion. How long do you think this is going to go on for? Is the ground invasion, the offensive is obviously getting tougher and tougher and tougher. I'm hoping that this is. I mean, we're in the Western world. We only see what's happening from. So there's some great journalists. I just want to give. Just want to thank the journalists that are covering. Putting their own. Lives at risk and being in prominent positions and covering it for the Western world. But where do you see this going? And talk to me about the ground invasion. Let's touch on the ground, the offensive to start with. From what I'm hearing, it's getting worse, and more innocent people are suffering as a result.
Yes.
And is this happening far from?
The ground invasion was a huge sign for us all in Gaza and the whole world that Israel will do their best and do whatever they want to reach to whatever they want, and which is pushing us back to the situation that we used to live in. And so we're trying as much as we can to raise another sign against their sign, that also we will do our best to gain our freedom and to stop you, Israel, from doing what you're doing to us. Um, it is tough. I would tell you that since they started, it's nonstop. Airstrike, battleships bombing, their troops all over the borders, evacuating towns, killing innocent people, killing civilians, and a lot of conflicts between the resistance and the Israelis. But I think this is what they prepare themselves for. I'm not scared of them anymore. Never scared. But how much, for how long we would just accept their terror. So the ground invasion, when they started, they were talking more than just true. They were talking about a week or a couple of weeks. But from the recent talks, the political talks and recent sources I have, and even the news sources as well, they were talking that Israel is not very pleased with the results that, and it's not like what they expected it to be, and they were saying that the only way is to win all of this is to destroy the tunnels. That's why they were saying that they're only focusing on the tunneled areas, but that's not also true, because they're targeting everywhere, and they're targeting most of the towns and civilians,
And,
the borders, plus the homes and the areas in
and hospitals. I mean,
the,
I targeted Al Wafa
of course,
Hospital.
yes, yes.
Uh, there's Joe. I follow a
They've
journalist.
targeted them.
And it was very clear that there were no terrorists hidden in the hospital. There was no weapons hidden in the hospital other than sick patients that couldn't be moved, sick patients that require oxygen tanks, and it was a big mission to try and get those people out of there.
Yes.
Well, I mean, what would possibly be the reason to target the hospitals?
Why would the
Again, I'm
reason?
remaining impartial to
The reasons
as
that they
opposed to me telling
usually.
you
I'm sorry.
obvious stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, the reasons that they always use is because there is Hamas militants over there, but it doesn't make any sense. Like as I told you, when I went to Al Shifa Hospital, I talked to some doctors over there, and I also talked to a Norwegian doctor who came all over from overseas to support us over here and support the medical system over here. And they were saying this is illegal. This is not true what they're doing. There's evidence that there was no militants in the hospital, and they could never have militants in the hospital because it's patients over there, and we need as much and as many hospitals and medical facilities to cover all of these injuries and all of these deaths. So they're targeting hospitals, they're targeting schools, they're targeting mosques. They don't even respect religion. They're targeting homes. They're targeting children playing on the beach. What do you expect more from them? Um,
Can I
so
ask you? I'm going to ask some very direct questions. Just quick questions back and forth, so we just get a clear idea. Um, from you obviously, you're living and breathing this every day, so I'm sure you've got all the answers. Um, from the targets that they have done of the homes and schools and the mosques and the hospitals and what have you, the civilian is it? I know the answer, but I'd like it from you. Have they managed to push back Hamas at all? Have they destroyed any of Hamas's infrastructure? Is it all civilian, targets? Or please give me the ratio and your opinion on it.
okay, um, they've targeted multiple governmental locations, which is by default it's for
Okay.
Hamas. But still, people over there do not work, so they're basically destroying our buildings. And this is the only places that they actually target that belongs to Hamas. And there is no active over there. But the problem is that these places are next to homes and next to crowded areas. We're talking about almost 2 million people in a very small piece of land. So everything is very close to everything. So whenever they're targeting a place, if it's related to Hamas or the government or whatever, they're also harming the houses and the places next to it. And we're not talking about a small bomb that will only destroy wall. We're talking about F-16. We're talking about Apaches. We're talking about illegal weapons that they use and that they used before as well on Gaza. So it could destroy a whole building. It could destroy a whole neighborhood. Beside that, which what I was talking about is just like couple of locations. You don't like. It's not more than 10 locations. And then we talk about civilians and homes and neighborhoods, and we're talking about uh, people with even no relations to Hamas being targeted. And again, at the end, we're talking about Gaza Strip, where they elected Hamas to be their authority. So if you can't, as an Israel government, you can't target whoever would support Hamas because you would be talking about almost 80 or 70% of the people over here. So at the end, you would absolutely target mostly civilians. So they have no reason for what they're doing, no logical reason for what they're doing.
And so basically, what you're saying is in the deaths that have occurred in the last 10 days, um, they haven't really destroyed or pushed back Hamas very much at all, other than destroy lots of, lives
Civilians.
of civilians.
Yes.
Correct. I want to talk about the weapons. I want to touch on that very quickly. There's lots of talk of the shrapnel being used, illegal weapons, some sort of gas. Is that true? And I mean, the shrapnel is very clear. We see the pictures of children that have been harmed from shrapnel. But the gas is some are saying it's rumors, some are saying it's true.
Yes, a lot of sources that assured that, and I just read a post this morning that that Israel also using some weapons that would spread cancer as well. Um, so
Wow, is
they're
that a
using
credible
what
source?
would what?
The source that you read that from, was that a tweet on a social network, or is it something official?
Yeah, it was on Facebook. It was like a report or a post. I would post it or tweet it later on to make sure with the whole results. But so basically, what they're doing is not only using weapon that would immediately kill you, but they're also planning to kill us slowly as well. And I think this is not a shock for us when we talk about Israel because they did that before. The weapons that they're using is massively, brutally uh, damaging um, and and this is, it's not shocking for me, but it's shocking when people talk about Israel as someone who's looking for peace when they use all of this. This is the shocking part.
I understand. I found the last 10 days pretty difficult. This is something that's been quite close to home. I absolutely love children, and just seeing innocent people die is been quite difficult for even my friends, my close friends. Um, a lot of us have popped up and sleep through the sleep and just to check what's happening on the news and stuff. How are you guys? Maybe a silly question, but how are you guys managing to cope? I'm assuming it's lots of belief and faith that is keeping you guys strong and keeping you guys going. But um, I, I, I've never
I
lived.
yeah, I
I haven't
actually
lived.
don't know. I don't know how we're cooperating with this. I mean, we don't. Me
I
personally,
read
I
you're
feel
not
like if
sleep.
I
And I've read your tweets where you're not sleeping sometimes, and your tweets are keeping us extremely informed. I mean, how are you? How are your friends and people you know? How are you all managing to cope?
actually, we're trying not to think about it as deep as possible, because uh, whenever I remember what's happening or like I think about it deeply, I just want to cry and I just want to scream and I get very angry. I mean, how is this possible? How is this happening to my people? How is nobody stopping them from doing all of this? We're trying, to avoid our feelings a little bit. We're trying, to be more practical. And I think that is so obvious for us, especially people like we're trying to use social media covering the whole situation because whenever there's a bombing next to my home or closer to my area, I just jump to the balcony trying to take a picture when my mother like keeps screaming at me, you can do this, you could be, the next target, or it's too close, you can't put yourself in danger. But I don't think about it this way. I think about it that maybe this tweet would change something. Maybe when the people would see what's actually happening, they would believe me because maybe then Israel would stop. And I think this is how it's happening over here. We're trying to avoid our feelings, uh, because just looking at these children at the hospital with their injuries, it's just heartbreaking. It's killing humanity in us, and we need the humanity to go through this. We need it so much, to understand what's happening. To try to. have hope, I guess, and faith. Um, uh, it's a lot of pressure and a lot of feelings, and we're trying to, trying to control that. And I think that the biggest thing that uh, help us go through what we're going through with strong hearts, that we don't let fear control us. We let faith uh, and belief that in our cause, in Allah, and in and our brothers and sisters who are fighting for us, the resistance, control us. So I guess this what helped us go through this.
Do you have any brothers and sisters, blood brothers and sisters that live with you, or is it just you and your mom?
I have my own sister, only one sister. Sorry, I only have one sister. So she's
How old are
older than
you
me. I'm 23.
and your sister?
I'm actually turning 23 in 2 days, which
Oh
is
wow!
very sad.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
It's yeah, it's a sad time, but um, you're going to be 23, and how old is your sister?
She's 2 years older than me, 25.
Okay. And your mom's obviously seen, is your mom's okay? Your mom's obviously seen
The
some.
thing is, my mother is not even Palestinian. She's Libyan.
Wow.
Um, uh, so yeah, she's going through all of this, uh, but yet she's not scared. She's like scared for us, for what's happening. She's always worrying. She's very sad for uh, for all these children losing their lives, and she's also worried and scared for the families who's not able to, protect their families from the Israeli attacks, and she's always worried about us, of course. But it's with all of this worrying as a mother, of course, and when sometimes when we talk, she tells me that she's proud of me for what I'm doing, and this means a lot to me because I'm also when I tweet, when I like go right to the balcony, or when I try to cover what's happening, I'm basically scared for my family, for my sister and mother, for my friends. This is what's actually giving me power to do all what I'm doing, and I think this is actually what everybody's source of power, because it's love. Um, we have people that we care about. We don't want them to go. We don't want to lose them. Um, and that's why I guess we're still strong and we're fighting for what's happening, because we know how much it hurts. And yeah, this is the Palestinian story.
And nobody, well, there you go. And nobody has any way of getting out, right? Just to confirm, because there's lots of confusion on social media. Nobody.
I don't know if you saw the Jon Stewart video, but it's totally true. I mean, come on, look at Gaza. We only have two borders that is basically closed right now. We live under blockade. Um, they're airstriking us. They're using battleships. They're ground invasion. We're having ground invasion right now, um, and we have nowhere to go. We're basically trapped, and we're still fighting, and we're still surviving. And I think this is a huge message to the world, um, that what Israel is doing is not right. It's unhuman.
Yeah. Nalan, please let them know your Twitter account. I mean, there's so many
Uh,
people that follow you and constantly praise you.
yeah, my Twitter is at Nalan Sarraj, and yeah, I
And
tweet a lot about the situation over here. Uh,
yeah,
um, uh,
please spell your Twitter account for them. So
Yeah, okay.
NAL. Yeah,
Okay, it's at Nalan, Nalan, Sarraj, Sarraj.
brilliant. And Nalan, I'm hoping that we can do this again sometime. Um,
Inshallah. And thank you so much, AJ, for doing all of this. We need people like you to spread the word about what's happening over here. And hopefully next time we reach out to other people, of course, over here in Gaza as well. So
yeah,
they have more stories to share and we let the world know more what's happening over here.
this is
Thank you
very.
so much. Yeah, really,
No,
thank you
no,
so much for doing and giving us a voice. Um, and thanks to London because I know they're supporting us in many ways in the whole international world who's protesting and doing demonstrations for us.
not at all. And thank you for taking time and being part of it, and I appreciate your time.
Of
Um,
course.
uh, you know, I hope that we can do this again. Yeah, I was just gonna let them know this was very last minute. We had this scheduled and we planned to
Mhm.
get lots more people on, but unfortunately the electricity
Yes.
blackouts and the power cuts,
Yes.
causing some issues. So I think, spoke about this 20 minutes before we went live and decided just to do it now and
Yes.
get it done.
No,
So,
thank you for being
thanks for getting in
flexible with
touch with.
this, really.
Well, not at all. Um, Nilan, what can I say? I have no words. I, our hearts are with you. We're also stuck as civilians over here. We're powerless. We're always trying to rack our brains on how we can help the people over there and help people suffering all over the world. It's not just Gaza and Palestine. It's the problems happening all over the world, and in Syria and so many other places. And we're other than what we're doing, we're pretty powerless. So we're always. All I can say is our hearts are with you. The last thing we want to see is people suffering, and it's people. So many people are ignorant. They turn a blind eye. They think because it's not them or not their children, they it gives them the right to just be ignorant. But it so easily could be very different, and it so easily could be they could have been born in a different family, and it could be them. So I always tell people that if it was your child, how would you react? And when they sit down and they think about it, then they kind of get it and they understand. Nilan, be safe, take care of the family. We're going to stay in touch all the time anyway,
Thank you
and
so much.
hopefully we can do this again.
Inshallah.
Uh, very soon, and maybe do one when you guys are free. And we have a celebratory video. And
Thank you.
so be safe and thank you for doing this. This will be up on the YouTube as well. There should be a link to share afterwards to look back and watch it. Is there
Great.
anything lastly that you want to say to everybody? Oh,
No,
have we
thank you
covered
so much.
everything?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Fine. Thank you. Be safe and give our love from London and the world to the people of Palestine.
Thank you.
Take
Salam.